Hi, my name's Debbie Forrest and I'm a local artist living in the Woking Berkshire area, and I'm going to guide you today through the drawing and shading of this African elephant. So, paper ready, vertical. You're going to cut your paper in half with a pencil and draw a very light pencil line across the middle of your page. This is so we get the head in the right place. So this is the middle horizontal line you've just drawn. And then we're going to build this big circle, and I'm going to show you how to do that. Basically, we are creating this big circle here. So inside we can pop all the information of the elephant. So, in the middle of that horizontal line that you drew, draw yourself a dot. And then go to the right with 3 dots an inch apart. Once you've done that, come back to the middle dot and go back out to the left with 3 dots 1 inch apart. Once you've done that, come back to the middle and go up from that middle dot with 3 dots 1 inch apart. Once you've done that, go back to the middle and then come down just 1 dot an inch apart. Then you join the dots up. Starting at the top, you sweep round and you join it up with that outer dot there. You come down to the bottom underneath the horizontal line and join it up with the bottom dot. Go back to the top, and you're going to try and keep them symmetrical like a butterfly is, and come round and down to the outside dot on the horizontal line and sweep it down and join it up with the bottom dot. So try and keep each side similar, and it looks like kind of an egg oval shape. That's what I'm after. Once we've done that, I'm going to go in and I'm going to draw the centre part. Now, what I want you to do is I would cut your oval that you've just drawn in half. It gives you a better indication of where to place it on the page. And the bottom is slightly flatter because this is where we're going to pop the trunk on a little bit later. So it's divided into almost 3 parts. So where you've drawn that line across the middle, draw yourself 2 dots equal distance apart, and then join them up with a shape like an egg, slightly flat at the bottom. So you need to look at the screen and then have a look how I've done mine, because that is where we're going to pop all his eyes and his nose and all his face in there. When you've done that, pop his trunk on. Now this is not his trunk, we're going to go inside that shape. These are shapes at the moment, and once we've got the shapes on, we can then pop in all the information after that. So at the bottom of that egg you just created, do 2 dots and then come down about 3 inches and go inwards. So narrow it towards the bottom and create your shape for the trunk. So that's about 3 inches down the trunk. Once you've done that, I'm going to just pop the shape of the legs on. So go back up to the top of the trunk here, and come out to the right hand side with 2 dots an inch apart. And then the outward dot, you bring it down at an angle. Just create his bottom basically, level with the trunk and in. On the left hand side, you go back to that dot you first created, go out 1 inch, and again, come down at a slight angle, not straight, come in towards his trunk. You should have something that looks like that. Should resemble something like that. What we're going to do now is we're going to pop the ears on. And we've got the shape here. I'm going to go from the top of his head here. Just move that one over so you can see. And I'll work with mine alongside. Right, so I'm going to go from his head here. And you create inside the oval that you created with pencil his ears. And when you reach that horizontal line in the middle of the page, this is when you can start to create his ears. So I'm going to come down and I'm just going to create his ears. Little lines like that. As I have on the other drawing here, you can see. I'm doing it with pen so you can see, but please use pencil. I'm not going over in pen yet. And then the other side, the same. Come back up, and come round. When you reach the horizontal line, create some more ears. There's little ear flaps. Yours can be different, doesn't have to be the same as mine. You should have something that resembles that. Once you've done that, we're going to create the top of his head. So draw yourself a line about 1 centimetre below the top of the head, very faintly, something like that. Then we create this little horny bit. So you go dot there, and you're going to literally do a little loop thing around that, like the top of his head. Now elephants have a bit of a flat head, so you can kind of flatten it off. It doesn't need to be as round as that. Now we've got the shape there. You just flatten it off a little bit, and then we're going to just pop his ears on the top there. So you just come down about there, and then draw the curve with his ears on. And you can, this orange line here, you can actually rub out. You don't need that anymore. Rub that out. You start to see the top of his head. You start to see his ears. You can rub out that line as well. That. Something that resembles that. And like on my drawing there. Right, now we're going to cut that oval shape that we initially drew in half with a very faint pencil line. And then we're going to come in that very faint pencil line about 0.5 centimetre with a dot. And then we're going to go about 1 centimetre in up here, 0.5 centimetre up here, and do another dot. And we're going to curve it round. To the outside of the oval that you originally drew. That's my egg shape. Once you've got on them, we're going to add that little kink on there because that's his ears, creating his ears. So you get about halfway down and just turn it around like that. And on the other one, turn it around like that. And you don't need all these pencil lines up here, so you can just tidy it up a little bit with your rubber. You no longer need them. They are in the way. Leave the ones in the middle. Might need those, but the top ones you can get rid of very gently. And you should have something that resembles that. All up, and I've still got my central line on there, which we will need further use. So that is what we should have now. I'm going to create the bottom part of his face. So you're going to, this egg bit here, you're going to actually half again. So draw yourself, so half that again. And draw inside the egg shape about 1 centimetre little dots. And depending on your curve, You might just have to adjust it, but what you're going to do is move this line and it's going to come down. So you might just have to adjust that top line, but you're going to be bringing that line down to meet the other one. And when you've got that, you're going to go back up. You're going to draw about, I don't know, 1 centimetre in there, about there. And you're going to draw a little V shape like that. So just if it doesn't quite, if it kinks a little bit, try and get it more rounded, because this is actually his face you're creating here. That bit there. Once you've done that, we're going to just halve that line again, as you can see on there. Pop a little dot on, so you can use it. And then we're going to just go round. Follow his face, as you can see on there. What do we have on there? And then we're going to create his trunk. So we're going to come down to the bottom of the little egg shape we've drawn. So his elephant's trunks are always a bit squiffy. So on the left-hand side, bottom one there, we also have 2 dots at the bottom of your little egg shape. On the left-hand side, you just bring it down. And you go a bit further up. So that was on that line. So that's halfway up on that, on the right-hand side. And you bring that down just like that. So it's slightly squiffy. I'm going to put his tusks on. So that line that you drew, halving it, we'll just go back to that dot there. I'm going to come down and create his tusk. So at the bottom of the egg shape, where you create that dot on the left-hand side, go out about 1 centimetre. And then on the right-hand side, where you've got the dot, go out 1 centimetre. And then go up to that line you drew and then come down. Going to start to create his tusks. So we've got this line here. I'm just going to take it a little bit higher, this line, up to create his face. So we've got the line here already. You can rub out all these little guidelines. You don't really need those anymore. They're kind of in the way. Those horizontal guidelines. Just be careful of all the others at the moment. And I'm going to take where it is here on the horizontal line. Just going to take it up a little bit. So it curls from tusk. It comes up. It's just creating his little eye socket, which we'll see in a minute. And it's the same on the other side. Just come up from the tusk and just curl it round, equal to that one. And just creating this little face, as we have on there. Pop his little overall, these little petals for his tusks holes. So that's some little petal shapes. Bottom there, either side of the trunk shape that you created earlier. We can put tusks on. Now I did 1 short tusk, 1 long tusk. If you want equal tusks, by all means do that. But do remember not to go right on the outer edge, because we need to create the fact that the tusk has gone up inside. So you need a little bit of a gap either side of that little petal that you created. So we've got a little gap to shade and show that there's a trunk there. Sorry, trunk there, tusk there. So I'm going to come out, maybe I'll do a different tusk this time. Just come round. I'm not quite at the edge of the petal, as you can see, just a little bit in. Just go inside it a little bit more and come round. Just gives you that little bit more depth with the tusk. Now we haven't done the trunk yet. You can tidy it up a little bit. You can rub out that line there. You don't need them anymore. It's in the way. Just going to pop his face on, and we can really get rid of all the other stuff up there. So you create these little eye sockets up here. So with your pen, I'm going to go straight in my pen. If you're not sure, you can go with your pencil. Do make sure they're equal distance across the page. So draw yourself a little eye and go around with a little backward C, and then pop some wrinkles underneath each eye. And the same on the other eye, equal distance. Round with a C, give them some little wrinkles, like elephants have. And that's it, right. You can get rid of the egg shape and the lines, just very gently. You'll start to see your elephant face up here. So it should be kind of at that stage now. Now we're going to put in the trunk and the tusks. So the tusks, you've got a little dark bit inside there. We will go over that in pen. That kind of sits, you can see, inside. As you can see on this one, you need to put dark inside the tusks, so it looks like they're going up inside his nostrils. I think that's what they're called. We're going to put the lines in the trunk. Now, as you come down the trunk, as it gets narrower, the little stripes or little curves on his trunk get closer together. But let's just create the trunk shape at the moment. So we're going to go inside that square bit that we put earlier. If you can see, I've just got inside a little bit. So come down, go inside, and create a more fluid looking trunk. Pop some lines on. If you look, they go up, round, and down, up, round, down. And that creates a visual roundness of the trunk without actually drawing. You just draw curved lines, and your eye will make it think it's a curve. So start at the top here, and go up, round, and down. Now wider apart up the top here. And I'm going to go over it all in pen in a minute. I'm just drawing mine in pen so you can actually see. And then as you get towards the bottom, just go closer, and you can see how I'm making them a bit, the lines curved. And as you get towards the bottom of the trunk, just do the lines a little bit closer. I'm just going to draw the trunk on there, come down with my pen, so you can see it a bit better. And that side. And that is nice little trunk shape. You should hopefully have something like that. And that, the little grid on his head is almost like noughts and crosses, lots of them though. It's just to give the effect of wrinkled skin, which is what elephants have, lots of. And then we're going to go over it with pen. And you can see I've created little shadows on the ear flaps, inside the tusks here, and one side of the trunk is darker than the other. In the original you will see that one side of the trunk is darker. It's where you get the light coming in from a different angle. We haven't done the legs yet. He's legless, but we'll leave him legless at the moment. So just pop on ear shadows. Just gives that little visual prompt that there's little shadows there. You can use your pen now. You can go in with pen over all this pencil, because then we'll tidy up the pencil inside the trunk there. You can darken it up. And then come down and do his tusk. And then go on the other side and do the same with the other tusk. We'll work systematically around as we go. It's dark inside there. Now the tusks have got a little bit, you can rub that little pencil line out, you don't need that anymore. They've got little wrinkle lines on them, so I just do little stripes to simulate tusks. And then go along here and give the ear flaps on the right hand side some darker shading to create some ear flaps on the other side. Go up and round. Once we've drawn over it in pen, so the top of his head, you can actually make it a little bit squarer. The whole bit round. Just starts off as round and then you tidy it up once you've done it. And then pop in his face, all those facial lines that you drew, you can pop those on. When we rub it out, we don't want to lose those. And around this side, go over in pen, and you can see the elephant head starts to appear. I'm just going to darken up the trunk on this side, so I just go like I do with the ears, a little bit darker on this side with my pen, like that, so you can see. And you can rub out all the lines once you've done that. Once we've done the legs, you can tidy them up. Just go down systematically down the trunk. If you need to add in more lines, just add in more lines. It doesn't matter. This is the time to adjust everything, change stuff you're not happy with. A bit like that. You should come down like that, something like that. Nice trunk there. And then tidy them up. Just rub out any pencil lines that are in the way, tidy it all up before we put the legs on. Legs are quite simple, really. So we're going to go on the right hand side. I'm going to create his front leg here. So that angled line that you have, we're just going to use it. We're going to come down. And then we're just going to go in about halfway up the trunk here and come down again and meet the bottom of the trunk. Very simple. And the back one just stays the same. You just draw a line down an angle, and that's the back bit. And give your elephant a little kneecap, which is just a little circle. Pen, and then you have the same hash lines with a wrinkle on his leg. You can put one on his bottom if you want. It's up to you. You should have something that resembles that. Now I'm going to pop some grass, because he's not standing and floating. Grass is very simple when I do it. Don't overthink it. It's just squiggles. And then you've got some trees here. Now we're going to put the leaves on in a minute, but if you just wiggle up with your pen very roughly and create some trees, and then we're going to pop some leaves on them in a minute. And that side, some tiny little shrubbery, looks like that. You should have something that resembles that. What we're going to do now is shade our elephant in. So you need to use a, well, if you've got a 6B or 4B, if you haven't, an HB is equally as good. But we're going to pop some shading on here now. So what I'm going to do is use, initially, I think I'm going to use, I've got 6B. So I'm going to go in with a 6B. Oh, can you see that? Yeah. And shade his trunk. So I'm going to start, so on the dark side, which is the left-hand side of the trunk, we just give him Make sure you just go on the trunk bit, not where his eyes are. And as you're on that left-hand side, just press harder, and as you come to the middle of your trunk, you just lighten the pressure on the pencil. Gradually, all the way down. Lighten the pressure on the pencil as you come towards the middle of the trunk. So it's harder by the edge of the trunk, and then lighten your pressure as you come to the middle of the trunk. And you should have something that looks like that. And then we're going to go behind the ears here. So you just need to put them out, pop his face out a little bit. So each ear socket, I tend to hold my pencil like this. I like to have it flat because you cover a bit more area. And where you need to pop the ears out like that, you just come down like that. On one side, do exactly the same on the other side. I'm going to just turn mine around so I can get to it. If you need to turn your paper around, by all means. And I'm just going to turn it around so I can get to the other side of the face. And I'm going to go along his face here, and I'm just going to shade heavy by his eyes, and then I'm going to come out. Turn it around so you can see now. So now I've got that shading here. I'm just going to come out the outer edges of the ear a bit more lightly. And then the top here, it's also his face, so we need to have that a bit darker up here. And the same one up here. And as you get to the top of the ear, you just make it a little bit lighter. You just take the pressure off the pencil. And you've got ear flaps, so you can, where it's dark with pen, just add a little bit of shadow in. The same on the other side, with a pen, just add a little bit of shadow. Behind the tusks there, it's dark. Bit of shadow in. Just need to turn on. Pencil around. Bit of shadow. Bit of shadow. Just blend it in. And obviously his legs are right behind everything, so they're quite dark. So you can go behind the trunk here, quite dark. And behind his ears here, where his bottom is on the right hand side, and his tusks there, you can just have that all dark. It's quite dark. And then you just fade it. That could just be almost one colour, dark. And that's his leg at the back there. And then his front leg. It's pretty much the same because it's behind everything. So the trunk, you can just go behind there. It's fairly dark, and you just fade it down and behind there. And then the trunk, the tusk, and the ear are, that's dark. Dark under there, dark, 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 dark. So press hard, and as you come down, you just lighten the pressure on the pencil. That's all how you do shading. It's all about the pressure on the pencil. And you gradually remove the pressure. You don't remove it drastically, otherwise you'll get a line. You won't get that nice, beautiful gradient shading. Just get a line, which is not what we want. Top of his head, give him a bit of shade. His eyes here, his little face here, you can just gently give him a little bit of shade on his eyes, like that. And what we're going to do we're going to just do a bit of grass here. And then the leaves on the trees, you just turn your pencil on the side and you just give him some quick leaves by the side. And there you have your elephant. Don't forget to sign it. Like I have. And African elephant is done. And hopefully you have something that resembles that. Thank you for watching. And I will see you very soon with a new video.